Welcome on board, Ajay Bagga as well. Ajay, just a whisker literally away from that 23,000 mark now on the index. 29 points now, actually. What do you think is fueling this rally? And more importantly, are we just gearing up to sell on news post June 4th?
I think so. True. That's a very true point, Aisha. I would say that if you're getting this kind of a pre-results rally, probably you will see some kind of a let-off on the 4th. What is the catalyst is the RBI dividend. That has changed the game for banks. So it started with banks rallying today on the base of that 2.1 lakh crore dividend announced by RBI, which will bolster government revenues. It will create space for private borrowers. It will lower the interest rates in the economy, help reduce the fiscal deficit, or help the government invest that money. If the government wants to hold its glide path on the fiscal and they don't use up this money towards the market borrowing being reduced, then they could use it for some other initiative. Whichever way you cut it, it was a very positive development. Treasury gains for banks as the yields came down sub 7% for the 10-year paper. So public sector banks are rallying today on those treasury gains that the banks would have made post that announcement. And the third thing is overall it sets a very good signal that if RBI is announcing something which is so huge, the economy is obviously doing very well as a surrogate, and that is giving confidence to RBI to keep 6.5% as a reserve and pass on the rest to the fiscal. So overall, I would say RBI was the trigger, and then maybe short covering. There was some shorts in the system who had to cover in a rush, and banks were very under-owned. Yesterday, if you look at where the bank Nifty, also how the positioning was, it was looking much weaker than the Nifty. And today is a catch-up trade. And then the big bellwethers have added to it, Reliance or IT. Again, nothing has changed on IT, Aisha. Really, for IT to be rallying so strongly. NVIDIA numbers are a hardware number or a data center kind of number, not what our companies are doing. So it's more a catch-up rally triggered by the RBI and then a short squeeze taking over.
Okay, so the trigger might be that RBI dividend, but the short squeeze is also something which is playing out. But we are now less than, I think, just around 20 points away from that all-time high level. 14 points. It's a matter of, when, because it's no longer an if situation. Most likely, it seems like if you're lucky, we'll get that level of 23,000 today itself, given the momentum that is there in the markets right now. Kush Bora is also with us. Kush, what's your view? 23 happening today, and if it does happen, what next for the markets?
Well, first up, I think congratulations are in order for all of us. But I think if that does happen, I think it's not a bad idea to take some money off the table. While the general direction of the rally or the markets was, perhaps up, this magnitude is something that's, perhaps caught a few shots off guard, and you're seeing this short covering rally. I think it's not a good, it's not a bad idea to take some money off the table. Also, let's not forget that this market has been kind enough to give us those dips, every now and then to buy into. So for me, the texture will still remain buy on dips. Not sure how deep the dip will be, perhaps, but even if you get like a 150, 100, 200 points dip, that should be taken as an opportunity to buy on the Nifty.
Right. Okay, let's look at the contribution list, because I think it's L&T which is really doing all the heavy lifting today, 3.6% higher. Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports may be the biggest percentage movers, but purely in terms of weightage, I think it would be L&T. Then, of course, Maruti M&M are chugging along very smartly, as are Hero MotoCorp, Eicher. Axis is holding up nearly 3% higher. Big boys like ICICI Bank higher by about 2%. Bajaj Auto as well looking good. SBI has made a dash. Guess what? Even HDFC Bank has moved up 2%. It's almost closing in on 1,500. Reliance Industries higher by about 1.5%. And even with this roaring move on the index, there are some laggards. So, Cipla has done nothing. ITC is quiet after its numbers. Britannia is flat. Sun Pharma is down. Tata Consumer, NTPC, Hindalco, they've really not participated today. Kunal, where do you see signs of leadership right now? Because right now it looks like autos.
Yeah, it looks like autos. It looks like private sector banks are making a comeback, for themselves. There is a, different wave of short covering which is there in the private sector banking names, and I think, we are looking at the likes of HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, etc., making a strong comeback for themselves. Axis Bank is also in line or very close towards a breakout of its previous major highs of 1200 approximately. So I think with this slew of large cap names adding up, it's just about going into the second leg of movement on the upside. And remember, I think, the two key sectors which have been underperforming, private sector banking names, IT, and maybe to a larger extent even FMCG stocks. All three of these sectors are making a very strong comeback. Even the underperforming names, for example, Reliance Industries, L&T, I think these stocks are also making a comeback. So sectorally, I believe that, or rather in terms of a trend, I believe now it could be the wave of short covering. And all of these underperforming stocks, large cap names specifically, these stocks can make a very strong comeback.
Ajay, is that your analysis as well? You think the market is going to move now bottom up? The underperformers will be the ones which would be the leaders?
Yeah, Aisha, it does happen that sectors which have been lagging tend to do well. So there are enough contrarian fund managers who are talking of, say, cement or IT leading the next leg up. I would stay in the mainstream. I think still because of this macro and the political continuity that the markets are factoring in, the industrials, the domestic cyclicals, auto, and the financials, these should continue to lead the rally. What is a little concerning now is sectors like defense and railways, where the valuations are high. But as you've seen with some of the public sector defense names, the kind of results that came in, and there was an instant re-rating, or the public sector power names, again, a very strong growth coming through there. So markets are factoring that in when they're giving that higher valuation. I would stick to that tested policy for now. I think IT is still some time to go. And today's IT move, frankly, I'm surprised. Luckily, I was not short IT at least. I had enough sense not to do that. I was long on banks. So a very happy day for me today. But overall, I think domestic cyclicals and the infra cap good major players, auto and financials, I would stick to these as still the leading sectors going into this new government and the new budget coming in July. I think these will be the key beneficiaries. IT, pharma, exporters, I think still some time to go.
Taken, so that's the view coming in. It's 16 points away, so let's take a break when we can, because you don't know when we'll hit that mark of 23,000. Quick break and we'll be right back.
Listen, there's a good insurance policy.
A good insurance policy. Let's ask AI. A policy in which premium payment is limited but provides income for lifetime.
LIC Jeevan Utsav.
A policy with whole life insurance cover also.
LIC's Jeevan Utsav.
Wow. Let's buy. LIC's Jeevan Utsav policy is our best choice.
Even I was telling you the same. LIC's Jeevan Utsav.
Lifetime celebration. With LIC's Jeevan Utsav, your future is set.
70 साल से ज्यादा के बुजुर्गों का मुफ्त इलाज, मोदी की गारंटी। फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार, कमल का बटन दबाएं, भाजपा को जिताएं।
Presenting the SBI Automotive Opportunities Fund. Benefit from India's growing automotive ecosystem. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
आप जैसा कोई मेरी जिंदगी में आए तो बात बन जाए।
Jio Air Fiber?
टीवी चैनल्स की बहार, OTT की भरमार, कनेक्ट करो कुछ भी, वाईफाई ऑलवेज तैयार, बात बन जाए, बात बन जाए।
बदमाश। कल चाहे जो भी हो, मेरी फैमिली का फ्यूचर हमेशा सुरक्षित रहेगा। अच्छा लगता है ना जब आप किसी पे इस तरह भरोसा कर सकते हो।
ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, जिम्मेदारी लगे प्यारी।
take me home.
New Seltos with advanced Kia Connect. Tech is now badass.
Kia, movement that inspires.
हमारा नाम भी ना तरक्की है. जैसे शादी एक बार होती है, हनीमून भी एक ही बार होता है.
अच्छा ठीक है, पर कहीं आसपास चले? ऊटी?
Presenting Canada Bank's Easy Loans, यानी तरक्की और डिपॉजिट्स मतलब सेविंग्स, क्योंकि ये टुगेदर तो बैंकिंग बेटर.
Victoria is quickly earning a rep.
Well, Kunal, how many points away?
So technically, I think we are just 6.4 points away.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wow.
Just 4 points away. I mean, this is some speed of the rally, right?
I
How
think
many
when we were-
points in today's trading session?
390 points on the Nifty.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. 390 points on your screens right now.
And it's a 1,000-point rally, which is there on the Bank Nifty and the Sensex. So I think that one is the bigger pull today, because the Bank Nifty is up a solid 2%. So when we hit that 22,800 mark, we were wondering whether there's going to be a bit of a consolidation, whether 22,900 will come swiftly or not. Forget 22,900. We're now staring at 23,000, and it's very, very imminent on the cards. Yes, it's only 10 minutes left, but the kind of move that we are seeing on Reliance right now and the other heavyweights, we're just waiting by for that number to really hit the screens, 23,000. But for now, let me tell you the big pullers right now. Reliance is the top contributor with that 50-point contribution, 2% higher for Reliance, followed by HDFC Bank. And bulk of that move on HDFC Bank has actually happened in the last few minutes itself. Those candlesticks will also come up for you on the screen. It's a 40-point contribution. L&T was doing quite well, still holding on to 4% gain. ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, these are your big gainers right now. Kush, let me throw it to you. If we do hit that 23,000 mark, in terms of your sectoral preference, what changes? Would you start looking at banking names more, with a lot more confidence, and the fact that Bank Nifty can then chug along that 50,000 mark?
For sure. In fact, I think the Bank Nifty is actually, broken above some of the key resistance zones. 48,300, 48,500 being, a couple of levels. I think this could perhaps extend the rally, and I won't shy away from saying that the 50,000 mark is really on the cards. I mean, you just need, in case of a move like this, maybe just a couple of days. But that level is now becoming very realistic. Plus, we know the underperformance that the Bank Nifty has had versus the Nifty for the last year, perhaps year and a half. So I think banking is one space. Other than that, I think the other sectors to look at, and those sectors have been doing well, but capital goods will perhaps start to roar once again. So the likes of L&T is already doing well, Siemens, ABB, Cummins, some of these names will start doing well. So I think these are the two sectors that I will focus on. Bank Nifty, purely on the basis of the short covering rally getting extended.
Okay, point taken. So that's the view coming in as far as the overall setup is concerned. Bank Nifty is where Kush believes there's a lot of strength. Ajay, within what you are looking at, what are the sectors that you would incrementally want to invest into? Would it be those infrastructure, industrials, railway names? Or you're looking at shaking it a bit and probably going towards consumers, auto, IT and the other laggards?
Yeah, consumer tends to do well. IT also surprisingly does quite well every general election. But this time, more on the global issues, I'm not so optimistic on IT. Consumer normally, what happens last time around 2019, the expectation or the estimates were about 60,000 crores were spent in the national elections. Formally and informally, but in the end, it translates into a huge cash fillip into the economy. This time around, the NGOs are estimating about 1,20,000 crores having gone into the economy in terms of spending by the major parties and the candidates. So it is a big fillip for consumer, but I would stick still to infra, cap goods. Domestic cyclicals, I think there we are, when you are in an economy like India, we have to benefit. And then the indigenization themes like railways and defense, you will have to be picky. It's not easy pickings anymore given where the valuations are, but there is a growth runway very much there. IT, I think, is still a couple of quarters away. Still early days for IT to really show a big turnaround. Those strategies will be turned, and we will see a recovery in IT, and then it will grow again. But we are still waiting to figure out who are the winners and who's getting it right. I think that rejig of strategies has to still be seen in terms of Indian IT.
Do you see that on the charts? Could there be a revival in the IT names?
Yeah, so large cap stocks have already started to see round of short covering. In fact, I was looking at the futures data, and over the last 7 trading sessions, there has been almost 5 days when the quantum of unwinding of open interest has been much higher. So yesterday and day before it was just 0.5% to 1% broadly. But in the 2 days prior to that, there was an unwinding of almost 7% to 8% consecutively for 2 days on these large cap stocks. And that's a big quantum because all of a sudden on the middle of the month, middle of an expiry, with no cues as such, when you see such kind of, open interest data point, it indicates that, the positioning has started to change from a trading perspective. And then when you try and, supplement this with the price action, over the last 4-5 days, we've seen many of these large cap IT names, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Wipro, etc. They've been making a base for themselves and moving up higher by a margin of 4 to 5%. So the data definitely complements that, we could be looking at a fresh round of short covering. But the only concern with these IT stocks, at least over the last 2-3 months, is that they've seen those 3-4 days of odd price up move, but then they've lacked the follow through uptick post that. So that's the bigger point which we need to see going forward.
Point taken, but that mark of 23,000 has been a bit of a tease. It's not happening in a hurry. We are now almost 40 points away, so just 4 minutes left. Doesn't look like it's going to happen today. But let's take the BTSC trades then from our technical experts. Kush, what's the buy today, sell tomorrow idea?
Well, couple of them. From the cash segment, we've got Tejas Networks. The stock's been fairly volatile, but on the whole, the trajectory has been upwards. So I think that's one stock that could be considered even from a portfolio perspective or a near-term trade. Here, the targets would be 1225 and 1275. 1140 would be the stop loss. The second one that I had was Adani Ports with the first target of 1445 and the second target of 1470. The first target's been achieved. So perhaps for the second target now, you could consider the target here will be 1470, and you could bump up the stop loss to 1420 now.
Right. Kunal, what are you buying today, selling tomorrow?
Banks and large cap private sector banking names. So Axis Bank is something which I would recommend. Fresh breakout for the stock about 1150 plus mark. So targets of 1220, stop loss at 1130. And HDFC Bank is the other name which is also coming back into a breakout mode above 1480 plus mark. So would suggest a buy with 1535 as a target and stop loss at 1460.
Okay, point taken. On that note, Ajay, Kunal as well as Kush, we'll let you go. Thanks so much for joining us today. Well,
if you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.